gathering people together to talk about sex.
I like that we have a venue that we can be expressive and talk about things that we don't naturally get to talk about in our regular community.
I believe in miracles. Where you from? You sexy thing, you. I believe in miracles. Since you came along, you sexy thing.
It's a great experience to just open up and see what other people have to say.
So thank you very much for coming out to the world's second sex-positive cocktail party. So the first thing is I'd like to salute you for your courage, because it actually takes real guts to come to an event like this. We know that in our culture, communicating honestly about sex with your lover is hard to do. But communicating about sex even with people you don't know is a real challenge. And so part of our technology is to develop a way to make people feel comfortable to start having these really interesting dialogues about sexuality.
It gives you credibility and validates who you are as a sexual human being.
How you were going to introduce yourself and how I would like you to do it is to mention what really excites you in life.
Freedom and variety and choices. And what really excites me is dancing and using dance as an expression of sensuality. And that helps me to feel beautiful, and I also use it to help other people to feel beautiful about themselves, because feeling beautiful is completely different from looking beautiful.
I thought I was a little kinky, and I realized I'm just a beginner.
It's a movement discussion, the art of loving. We're going to talk about sex, Mom, and sexuality. She's a little repressed. She says to me, well, don't you say anything. Very passionate about just following my nose and exploring and adventuring and bringing as much joy and healing to the people around me as I possibly can.
What excites me is sexuality and entertainment, and consequently I'm a stand-up comedian who focuses on sexuality as Dr. Nigel, the world-famous British sex expert. People's willingness to share their experiences about sexuality, because they're revealing a part of themselves that we don't tend to reveal in our culture.
We have about 15 questions we're going to want to get through in the evening. So your first time that you can remember when you learned what intercourse was.
Then she told me about this thing that I'd never heard of before called a condom.
The opening of the penis, I thought the penis went in there and proceeded to tell us how sex works. A man gets on top of a woman, and I finally figured out that the penis went into the vagina.
And there used to be a series of books at the Safeway, believe it or not, called the Marshall Cavendish Encyclopedia of Sexuality.
And actually got into laying on the floor in the position and was like giving us the entire motions of how this happened.
The spontaneity of people just coming up with things and just remembering the things that happened when you were younger that were in retrospect very funny.
Our parents have a massive influence on our sexual attitudes, and usually that's incredibly unconscious. So reflect on when you first learned that your parents were sexual beings.
At some level I probably knew they were,
And mother was
I hadn't
very
been confronted with it until
girl
that
from
point. I
Alberta.
noticed a little bit.
And
As a little kid, that was
basically, I swear she was the one who was, thinking of the Queen, praise God and the Queen, and just let him do his business. That's the impression I got from my parents about sex. Well, it makes it feel like we're all a lot more connected than maybe our world lets us see.
Talk about your first sexual experience with another child when you were a child.
Mine is very similar. Schoolyard girl taking our clothes off and say, okay, here's a quarter, look at me. And, yeah.
That's so weird. We played doctor, and I just remember playing with. This is so funny. Little wooden blocks with sticks that you put in.
Oh yeah,
And I
like
remember-
Tinker Toys, yeah.
Yeah, Tinker Toys and
That
stuff.
kind of
And
stuff,
I remember us like playing doctor and sticking things up each other's coochie.
Barbie and Ken would take off their clothes. And we'd have different plots.
Like, I didn't know what it was. But it's like, we used to say, yeah, like 3-4 years old. Right. Yeah, and older, like really young. And it would be like, well, this is what, you know, this is what, you know,
My first exposure to pornography was Penthouse magazine. I would be sneaking through the room and I found it. There was no negativity attached to it. There was no shame attached to it or anything.
Just from reading these words, like the trucker could just copy me.
It was never the pictures that attracted me, it was the writing.
And I got very, very, very turned on, so I went through a lot of National Geographics looking for those pictures. If I'd had this sort of conversation 30 years ago, I might have much better experiences since then.
The first time you pleasured yourself.
The best gift you can get, right?
Apparently. Well, it worked for me as a 10-year-old, that's for sure.
I have not a clue. And I come over to the bed and I'm looking at myself. I thought I had my guts were falling. I thought I was dying. I actually thought I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I've killed myself.
But I couldn't get to that place myself. So I was 25 years old.
It became an obsessive disorder all the time. We didn't have a massage head in our shower, but if you turn the taps on and stick your legs up like that, it works just as well.
I remember at a very young age feeling very sexual and mostly just rubbing myself against my bed, same as you, and how willing I was to go from those fears to the person that I am today. I think that's the thing that I got actually.
Just the ability to trigger different memories and thoughts that I think will also allow people to take these kinds of discussions out of the art of loving and to talk about it with their partners when they go back or with their friends and things like that. I think that's it's a good thing.